I just wanted to do a quick video talking about there's an announced what's called, I believe, the language used is a limited operation for ground incursion by Israel into Lebanon. And so if anyone's curious what that means and strategically why it's significant, I'll try and get to something a little more fruitful. But if this is new information, then, well, if you stay around and watch now, you know, and it's at least those two parts. So what is entailed by a limited operation? And some people get really excited about that stuff. That's your responsibility to carry. And then why is this strategically significant? And so a limited operation, one way to look at it is like this vertical, right? This vertical, and a limited operation probably means that it's only forward looking and backwards looking, you know, not very far, right? And so when we look at the top of what Israel's going to be doing, they're going to be disrupting within the operation Hezbollah's ability to respond. That's going to be the stated goal. And so when you look at their most dangerous capabilities that they're willing to use, this is probably what Israel is saying. We should I believe Hezbollah would agree that we should constrain the conflict to this area. People can disagree about that. And so you have both clandestine and sort of these black ops intelligence capabilities, which will be attempting to disrupt communications as much as possible and supply chains, as well as using actual battlefield intel to strike what they believe to be the most strategic targets within this phase of the conflict. And this can be anywhere in Lebanon, so it might not only be in the areas that they're responding to. And this is also sort of saying, well, this is how we will manage the conflict in an ongoing manner, right? And you have an ability to respond to this then. And then the more practical, so you have all of these sort of digging under the surface things that will be happening, and there's three parts to it. The second part, which is again super obvious, is this idea that you're doing a land incursion, and so you're going to be striking any targets based on intelligence as well as line of sight, which are potentially going to be harmful to Israeli troops, right? That's always the case. So anyone who's a combatant in anything that's directly threatening Israeli troops, it's going to get hit. And then likely the third part of this is within this operation, and is that, if you think about how both sides are planning to move forward or backwards, there's likely within this plane something that Israel is going to want to say or do in terms of limiting the mobility and the movement and the ability to adapt and to respond versus reacting to things. And so what this is likely doing is, as much as possible, they're probably going to, in smaller ways, be disrupting any Hezbollah forces. If you have any sort of centralized structure, they may be a target. If you have various capabilities or units within the military that they think they're going to use later, those may be smaller targets as well. And if you have any capabilities or something that they believe Hezbollah is going to be rallying foreign support for, those may also be smaller targets within this conflict. And so why is this strategically significant? Well, Israel's strategy is this narrative that Hezbollah is incapable of governing, hence the conflict. They're incapable of maintaining a leadership structure, and they're incapable of maintaining a conflict within the accepted laws of, within international law, is what they're going to say. They're going to say that people cannot accept, and there's institutions that should be backing that Hezbollah is not capable of doing this. And so, the way this is broadly going to be interpreted by Arab partners across the Middle East is that Israel is narrowing the conflict specifically to a point where they can not just win, but they can win decisively, where there is a minimum drawback to the Israeli position. And that is what this entire operation and this narrative is about winning. And winning in this way. And so Hezbollah is likely going to do things that are on the top and the bottom of this pyramid, right? They're going to do things that can extend the conflict out, that can manage in some ways the severity, as well as trying to shift more of the risk and the actual material consequences and the blame towards Israel for this, right? And so again, when we're thinking about something like, communications networks or something like that, like something Hezbollah might do is try and rally foreign partners to implement a more severe response. They may try and have both international pressure as well as this military response or some other form of sanctioning or something. That is speaking to the fact that Israel isn't correct about where the conflict is and where it's going. And this is all, again, I think I was talking the other day, I'll end the video with this, because this is like for if there's any veterans for peace or whatever out there. And I'm not a veteran, but, the thing I was talking about yesterday was there's always these 1 to 4 month decisions that people think they're making and they turn into years at a time. Everything's always years at a time. And so, one of the risks, I think, as someone who's asking how the people of Israel and how the people of Lebanon and how the people of Gaza and Palestine and how the people in Yemen and in Jordan or wherever in Iran are being represented somehow by this conflict. Anyone that is watching and hoping there's a better resolution and a faster, and it kills less civilians and it kills less, really just like stupid young kids that signed up to do this, that believe they have some deep philosophical reasoning and they're nowhere close, right? So when you stick everything in this bubble of the military and conflict and violence, and both sides have really held it there. They've probably tried not to. They've tried to get everyone to see their sort of moral position, but when you hold it there, there's not a winner, right? And so people always complain and say, well, the right political leadership's not in the room for this. When you send a bunch of colonels and these, kind of, I'll swear here, these rat fuck nobodies to go do the negotiations for you. What do you actually learn? What are you getting out? Where are you putting sort of where are you putting leadership and understanding and power? What are you fueling? How are you fueling the next stage of this conflict? When you put these people that are nobodies in a room, lieutenant colonels or whoever it is, you're necessarily fueling violence, and that's all you're going to get back out. And so, it's disappointing. At the very least, all you can really speak into this and say is that, we haven't seen, publicly there's not a lot of transparency about what diplomacy or philosophy or whatever is going in, and that's it. That's all you can say back to it.